Hello everybody! I've been getting a ton of questions regarding the new Void items over on my stream, twitch.tv/Woolie baby. So I figured I would make a dedicated video on them before the actual item tier list. I'll still go over each Void item's relative strength and weakness, but I'll leave ranking them for when I cover all of the items at once. Let's start with the general overview of the Void items. Simply put, Void items are just corrupted versions of normal ones with the same theme. For example, regular teddy bears block, so the Void teddy bears also block, just in a different way. To obtain Void items, you'll need to interact with Void cradles. These are randomly spawned interactables on every single stage, just like all of your usual chests, multi-shops, shrines, and such. A cradle consumes 50% of your health and gives you a random Void item in return. Once obtained, Void items corrupt all normal versions of its same item and cannot be changed back under any circumstances, except for the rusted key. I'll explain that one in a second. Finally, Void items do retain their rarity of the normal counterpart, despite all being a Void tier item. So you'll be seeing more Void teddy bears than you will Void clovers. Alright, let's go over each Void item by rarity, starting here with the common ones. The encrusted key is the Void rusted key and spawns a lockbox that simply grants a Void item instead of a regular one. I'm going to be saying Void a lot in this video, by the way. Unlike normal keys, Void keys do include common items in their loot pool, and also unlike regular keys, when you open the box, you'll actually be given a singularity instead of it spitting out a random item. A singularity gives you the choice of 3 items to take, which drastically improves your odds per key of getting something you're actually looking for. The Void key is a very strong item, as it is the most consistent way to get other Void items in your run, and as you'll soon find out, Void items are just kinda busted. Also, I mentioned that the Void key is the only Void that you can technically get rid of, as if you consume all stacks of it, any regular keys that you then obtain will not be corrupted, as you don't actually have that Void key in your inventory. The game doesn't track if you had a Void key, only if you currently have one. Next, the Lost Seer's glasses. These are your Void crit glasses and give a 0.5% chance to instantly kill any non-boss target per hit. Fun fact, in this case, a boss is only something that spawns from your teleporter fight specifically, or every 5 waves if you're playing in the simulacrum. This means that, yes, if you see a random imp overlord or a stone titan on your stage, your Void glasses can and most likely will kill them. I mean, do I really have to explain how powerful a literal insta-kill per hit is in a game where you can get ludicrously fast hit rates? Not to mention, these things come from Lens Maker's glasses, which are common items, so you'll be seeing a lot of these bad boys all over the place. The only situation where I'd consider not taking them is on Eclipse difficulty, where the goal is to kill Mithrix and or the Void Lane. Both of them are unaffected. Yes, I even take them on the Railgunner. You are literally talking about infinite damage here. Next, the Needle Tick. Have you randomly died in this DLC too many times to count? And are you tired of having your left pinky toe tickled by an Elder Lemurian only to then perish from extreme blood loss? No. Please get away from me. I'm gonna get... Oh my gosh! What is that? And have you received the same agony from a pulsating black and red circle than that from the Scarlet Rot? Then do I have the solution for you. Just don't get hit. The Needle Tick are your Void tri-tips, and yes, these are the source of the absolute terror that is seeing a Void enemy. Not the item itself, but the effect. Collapse. Think of collapse like a ticking time bomb. As soon as you apply the first stack, a 3-second timer begins, and after those 3 seconds are up, the bomb then explodes and deals 400% damage per stack. Now, this effect is pretty gosh darn good on players, but it is not nearly as good as it is on monsters. This is because collapse deals base damage, not total damage. The difference is that with total damage, the value of the hit that procced said total damage is taken into account. Whereas with base damage, the hit itself is irrelevant. This means when you get hit by a monster and it applies collapse, the damage the monster actually did to you is entirely disregarded. Only that monster's base damage stat matters, which, as you can see by this clip, can be quite frustrating. However, collapse is still a very strong mechanic to play around and is honestly better than bleed in every single way that I can think of. You still retain the debuff application for deathmark purposes, but you can pump out many times the amount of damage that bleed can and do it all over a much shorter duration. Next, the safer spaces are your Void teddy bears. Instead of granting a chance to block damage, Void bears guarantee a block but have a cooldown period afterwards. Stacking Void bears reduces the cooldown. These ones are pretty easy. If you don't have a lot of teddy bears already, do not pick up Void teddy bears. You will get much more defensive value out of anything less than 20 regular bears. For reference, 10 regular bears equates to a 60% chance to block, while 10 Void bears blocks every 5.5 seconds. 20 regular bears bears equals a 75% block, while 20 void bears is just a 2-second cooldown. And then if you grab just 6 more void bears, so 26 in total, you then have a guaranteed block every single second like clockwork. Of course, and with anything Risk of Rain 2, the context of your run will always dictate which items you want and when you want them. On Eclipse, for example, having that guaranteed block for fall damage can come in quite handy on most survivors. But for the most part, only take void bears if you see a regular bear printer nearby or already have a plethora of them. The final common is Weeping Fungus or Wungus. Very, very, very simple choice here. If you see a Wungus, you take a Wungus. I don't care that you're playing Engineer with stationary turrets, you take that gosh darn Wungus right now, you hear me? Moving into uncommons now, starting with the Lysate Sails. Instead of giving an extra use to your equipment, Void Cells give it to your special ability instead. Note that Void Cells do not give cooldown per stack, only on the first one, so you're not going to get brain stocks 24/7 on your ult. Or the Engineer, yes, you do get an additional turret with these bad boys, but you only get one regardless of the stacks. I found that Void Cells are a no-brainer pickup in my runs, as using your equipment is a pretty situational thing, while using your abilities is something that you want to do basically all the time. Plus, we received the addition of 2 very powerful equipments that are essentially passive items. Guess you're gonna have to wait for the tier list for those, huh? Next, the Plasma Shrimp or Void ATG. Instead of having a chance to fire, these things are guaranteed, but only while you have shields up. If you didn't know, shields refer to only your blue or pink ones and not your yellow barrier. There is also no difference between blue and pink shields. But back to the ATG's effect. Is it strong? You get missiles on every hit, but each missile does way less damage. Well, that depends. The name of the game in Risk of Rain 2 is proc chaining. Void ATGs have a proc coefficient of 0.2, meaning that anything that triggers off of them does so at 20% of its value. So say you have 2 sticky bombs, a 10% chance to proc. This means that each Void ATG has a 2% chance to proc a sticky bomb. Normal ATGs have a 1.0 proc coefficient, which means they have the full 10% chance to proc the stickies. However, normal ATGs also only have a 10% chance to fire in the first place, so the total chance of getting an ATG sticky bomb chain off of an attack would be just 1%. Remember, the Void ATG had a 2% chance. And on top of that, firing Void ATGs is not affected by proc coefficient. You will always fire 1 Void ATG per hit. Normal ATGs are affected by proc coefficient. If some of this is going over your head, it doesn't matter. All you need to know is that Void ATGs will proc things way more frequently and probably equate to more consistent damage overall, but they come with that risk factor of only firing when your shields are up. You can be the judge whether or not that risk is worth it in your current run. Next, the Polylute, the Void Ukulele. It changes the ukulele from an AoE machine to a single target machine, and my gosh, this thing is strong. When we first saw the item revealed, my thought process was interesting. You gotta choose between losing out on screen-wide clears and dealing massive single target DPS. I like that. Nope, there's no choice. If you see a Void Ukulele, you take a Void Ukulele. I promise it is that good. That is all I'm gonna say on this one. Next, Singularity Band. Both your Chiaro and Runald bands will be converted into the same Void Band. Activating the Void Band is identical to activating regular bands, but the purpose is drastically different. If you pick up a Void Band, you don't do it for the damage, you do it for the crowd control. The black hole area it provides is absolutely massive and does a fantastic job at keeping enemies piled up for you to either run away from or blast with your proc chains. If your current run is doing fine in the damage department, but you're finding it hard to actually deal that damage, then the flexibility the Void Band provides is probably your way to go. Next, Tintabobble. It roots instead of slows. There you go. If this thing gets crazy for Mithrix or the Voidling, I'll let you know for the actual tier list. I'm gonna need to test it a little more. And for the final uncommon, Void Scent Flame. This changes your Will of the Wisp explosion from being on kill to on hit, but only to full HP targets. So you can just think of this as putting the explosion at the beginning of the fight rather than at the end. The damage of the Void Wisp is higher, and having it happen first in a chain is ideal, so these are a no-brainer pickup for me. Now for the moment you have all been waiting for, the legendary Void items. First, the Pluripotent Larva, or the Void Dio's best friend. Void Dios revives you like normal, but upon revive, then corrupts all of your non-Void items and turns them into the Void counterpart. Just pick it up, it's that simple. Have you not heard what I've been saying about the other Void items? They are strong as heck, boy. And this one gives you all of them and a free life. Well, you have to already have the normal items to then get the Void ones upon death. Just take the Void Dios and thank me later. I've saved the final void item for last, as it is quite the chungus to cover, the Void Clover. Actually, wait, hold on, I forgot something. Oh yeah, this thing. It spawns a void ally for you, but takes all of your boss items, so you can wave goodbye to your little disciples, molten perforators, Myrdurns, charge perforators, and shatter spleens. Plus, it's bugged right now, and the only way to get it is via a void Dios. I'll come back to this one on my tier list. As I was saying, the Void Clover. Simply put, at the start of every stage, the Void Clover will choose 3 stacks of items to upgrade entirely into the next tier. The stacks it chooses are random, and only your common and uncommon items can be upgraded. Legendary, boss, lunar, and void ones are completely unaffected. All right, when do you take a Void Clover? As early as possible. Why? Well, remember, it takes 3 entire stacks of items, not just 3 items total. So the idea is to find a clover super early on and then print literally all of your items into a single one. The actual item you print doesn't matter at all. Just print every single item of that rarity into the same stack. All of them. Don't even think about it. Just do it. Then when you get to the next stage, bam, you just upgraded all of your items. Did you get chrono baubles? Okay, now all you have to do is survive one measly early game stage, and then you could have all behemoths, or all meat hooks, or all ICBMs, or, all death plants. The benthic bloom does not discriminate. In terms of its viability, well, that remains to be seen. I guess you're gonna have to wait for the item tier list after all. With that said, be on the lookout for not only my upcoming tier lists for the items and survivors, but also my dedicated guides to playing the Railgunner and the Void Fiend, as well as the occasional gameplay highlight or two. You can check out my stream at twitch.tv/WoolieGaming and consider joining our Discord server as well. Thank you for watching.